Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Tuesday, October 21, year of our Lord 2025. My Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it is 9:08 and change in the morning. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, broadcasting today from the United States of America. I could I could prove it, because the president and some great citizens are adding to the White House, making it better. It's also the place where the brave, like the veterans we salute today, whom we lost this year, thanks to John Basiliga and his great companies, like David Morris, Trucksville, John Snell, Einan, Barry Schreffler, Shepton, John Gallo, Montoursville, Ronald Breithaupt, Taylor, and Kenneth Fladmark, Selinsgrove. They made us and kept us free. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible, amazing, irreplaceable founding fathers, that government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation, not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to protect and organize society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom was not something that could be parceled out to groups. It was not something that could be controlled by government or government officials, because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press, whether they abuse it, lie, or not. We know better. Come on. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And with that essential preamble dealt with, we will now gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you, because of our commitment to common sense, you will have, for the balance of this morning, a sanctuary of sanity right here to bathe in, to luxuriate in, or to just simply enjoy, however you choose to utilize this benefit. Yep. So we're here, and man, this No Kings thing, it really perturbs me. And now we've got local politicians glomming on, like Gary DeBillio there, like this silly Michael Cappellini, who's running for county commissioner. We need Chet Murley in there, man. And I like Tom Welby a lot. But we can actually change county government. You cannot be happy with Lackawanna County government. You cannot be. And that is Gahan. Cappellini's his man. They're both left-wing lunatics. Gone. Now, I'm looking, and I apologize to those of you who are not from Lackawanna County, but I say these things because they are emblematic, they're illustrative of the insanity of the left, of the today's Democrat Party. Now, It's fascinating. This newspaper, if you get the print edition, it is so bad, I can't even make it up. Now, I became aware last night that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled against the boy king, Billy, I don't know, they call him Little Billy Gone. He's not little, he's taller than I am. So I'm not going to call him that. And unfortunately, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled against them. It's not even in the paper today. Remember last week? They just don't even get the stories in the paper because they print it out of town. Now, this I don't understand. The Lion family has this beautiful printing plant. Advanced, upgraded, all this stuff. And it's right here in Waverly. But no, this company, Alden, or whatever permutation of the corporate structure is called, has to send it down to Harrisburg, and so we don't get the news if you get the newspaper. How about that? How do you call it a newspaper? The biggest story in Lackawanna County is the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And remember what we said. Judge Terry Nealon's daughter works on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Somebody stepped in earlier and interrupted the appointment by the county judges of the Brenda Sacco. And they're moving forward with this election. Now, the Democrat Party of Lackawanna County, presumably, that's the Marty Flynn gang, will be going back to county court to stop the special election. I don't know if that happens. I'm not sure. I don't have the opinion. I only have the story. Now, this story was written by Jeff Horvath of the Times-Tribune. It's not in the paper. Because that paper was apparently, the newspaper that is in my hot little hands was apparently in Harrisburg or rolling on a truck back from Harrisburg when this event happened. Now, this is fascinating. Here's a newspaper. I want to tell you, you can't even describe how horrible this newspaper. Let's go aside from the fact that it's left-wing lunacy and idiots on the editorial. Let's go take that aside. The story's updated at 5:57 yesterday. Now, the reason I point this out, by the way, because you guys get the Citizen's Voice. You guys get the Hazleton Standard Speaker, otherwise known as Yesterday's News. And you guys get the, I don't know if the New Age Examiner comes out up in Tunkhannock daily or who knows. But you also get the Pottsville Republican, which is anything but, I guarantee. 5:57, the story's updated on this Supreme Court ruling. It's not in the paper today. Wow. It's really unbelievable. It's that bad. But the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, you wouldn't know it if you read the newspaper, has overturned the boy king Billy Gaughan's appeal, which he had no right to do in the first place. This is the clown at the No Kings protests who's running the county on his own. Or so he thinks, but he can't. It's against the law. He's doing exactly what they're accusing Donald Trump of. And then he goes to the No Kings protest to carry on about Donald Trump while he's doing the same thing. I'm telling you, the self-awareness is zero on these lunatics. Absolute zero. And his running mate, Mike Caparelli, am I getting the name right? And I know him. I'm just blanking on the name. Mike Caparelli or whatever. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. The old story. Well, I'm a Irish from Scranton. Let's get an Italian from the Mid-Valley. Okay, great. So they're carrying on two left-wing lunatics, and that's why they will never be good at their jobs, because they're separated from fact, truth, and reality. Well, how do you function? Seriously. That's why Paige Cognetti's such a horrible mayor. You can't do both. Somebody texted in, I said last week, the Times is now 2 to 3 days behind, which means the Citizen's Voice and the yesterday's news. Well, if you're down in that area of the listening audience, yeah, I mean, there's no point in getting it. It's days old by the time they get you a story. So anyway, Pennsylvania Supreme Court rules against Gahan, rules against the Boy King. And somebody said, spread poop on the No King protesters. That will show them what a sad, troubled baby man, I guess talking about me, worst president hands down. See, the problem is you are doing everything and hoping to achieve everything that you're claiming Trump is doing. In the midst of a government shutdown by a minority in the United States Senate, I wonder if a minority of serfs in a kingdom ever shut it down. Capolini, I apologize. Thank you. Somebody helped out. It's just insane. I'm telling you, that everything they say, the exact opposite is that which is true. Everything they accuse you of is exactly what they're either doing or trying to do. What a goofy group. And I remind you again, I saw my old friend Gary DeBilio there. Well, Gary, I still like you, but you will never get my support again, ever. Dear God. He made some idiotic left-wing lunatic statements. Now he's confirmed it. Trying to get front and center at a No Kings rally, which has nothing to do with anything. It's based on lies. Unreal. So we've got horrible left-wing lunatic newspapers. We've got horrible left-wing lunatic county commissioner and running mate Capolini. And we've got horrible mayor who's running for United States Congress, by the way. Yeah, it gets even worse. Running for United States Congress while she's running for mayoral re-election, and she can't even build a pool. She can't even build a splash pad. Wow. That's where we're at. Let's take a break and be back. It's Bob Cordaro on the eponymous show. Joe from West Side points out that the newspaper today, apparently, because it doesn't come out on Monday, they have football scores from Sunday as if we didn't know the finals by now. It's so bad. You can't make up how bad these newspapers are. Oh, my Lord. Joe from West Side reminds me, and Bob, don't forget it takes a lot of water to fill a pool. Yeah, that Mayor Many Names discovered that recently. Sam Cooke, Murph tells us, debuted on the charts with his first single, You Send Me. What a great way to start. And Thomas Edison, 1892. Now, I don't remember his name. I'm guessing some of you will. It was an African-American assistant that he had who was absolutely critical to the inventions of Edison. And I mean, look, the assistants never got it. The fact that he was African-American, at that time, he was never going to get credit. So it's what it is, sadly. But, yeah, these things are all of a piece. How horrible the newspaper is, how horrible the Lackawanna County commissioner is, Boy King Billy Gaughan, and how horrible the mayor of Scranton is, Mayor Many Names, Cognetti. Because they are separated, and I mean cleaved, absolutely cleaved from facts, truth, and reality in order to pursue their left-wing lunatic agenda. And if you want more of what the Boy King Billy Gaughan has given you, from 50% taxes to everything else increase, to everything else, the general incompetence, operating on his own without legal authority, if you want more of that, vote for Capolini. That's why I really urge you to vote for a real person, Chet Murley. Tom Welby's a great guy, too. But it's not going to move the needle because he's still going to be with a fellow Democrat, Billy Gaughan. So Gaughan still has power. You've got to take him out of the picture. Let him be a minority commissioner and let him run off to protests and do all his silly things and say all his silly things. Maybe he even believes it. I'd fear for him if he did, but just get Murley in there and he and Chris Chermak could bring some common sense back to Lackawanna County government. It's what has to happen for everybody's sake. And we've got to get, and you know it, I really like the Republican candidate for mayor, but Gene Barrett's my guy, and he'll be a great, solid mayor. And we need that after 5 years of this left-wing insanity and incompetence from Mayor Paige Cognetti. You just have to have it. Unreal. All right, we're going to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We're going to come back, Veterans Tribute. And then guess what? I got Mike Linko. He's calling about Unico. They got a big anniversary, one of the biggest chapters. Now, there's about 9 of them in Lackawanna County, which, that's typical of our county. But Unico's got a celebration we want to talk about. So we'll do that, all of that, when we come back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, and his great family of companies. Today, featuring Serenity Care, personal care community. 4 locations, Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. Offering personal care services and dementia care services at their Mid-Valley and Kingston locations. All 4 personal care locations have been completely renovated, inside and out, accepting new residents, and they are the crown jewel of senior care in Northeast PA. Ronald Breithaupt. He died October 1st this year. He was 93 years old. He was from Taylor, formerly of Tannersville. Born in Philadelphia, graduate of Northeast Catholic High School. He served 5 years in the U.S. Navy and 4 years in the U.S. Air Force. Employed for 27 years by the Department of the Army as an electronics instructor. He taught all over the country until he moved to the Poconos in 1970 to permanently work at Tobyhanna Army Depot, where he concluded his career in 1987. In 2005, he moved to Taylor and joined the American Legion post there, proudly serving as adjunct. Predeceased by his loving wife, his first wife, Helen Pinio Breithaupt, mother of his 4 children, and his most recent wife, Barbara. Tragically also by sons Ronald and Eric, as well as his younger brothers. He survived, however, by his daughters, grandchildren, great-grandsons, and his sister, Ronald Breithaupt. David Morris of Trucksville. We lost him October 12th. He was born in Knoxon, graduate of Lake Lehman High School. He served us in the United States Army. He later earned a bachelor's degree from College Misericordia, retired from Procter & Gamble after 30 years. He then enjoyed a second career at Sheetz in Trucksville, where he was well known for his cheerful reminder, have a good day no matter what. Active in the Back Mountain Little League as a coach, the Trucksville Tigers. What a great name. Member of the George Dallas Lodge, Iram Temple Shriners Motor Corps. He loved his little red Corvette and looked forward to yearly NASCAR weekend with all 4 of his sons. He was 81 when he passed, tragically preceded in death by an infant son, Michael Joseph. David is survived by his wife of 57 years, Carol Keller. His sons, granddaughter, grandsons, and many other family members. David Morris. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Serenity Care, the personal care community, the gold standard of senior care in Northeast PA. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from our man, meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny and milder with increasing clouds, scattered showers possible late in the day. 67 degrees, 46 outside the studios right now. Tonight, cloudy skies down to 48. Wednesday, cloudy, breezy, and cooler with a chance of a spotty shower, 57. So much like Monday. Thursday, cloudy, breezy, and cooler with a chance of a spotty shower, 55. Well, not a great or encouraging or exciting weather report, but come on. Here we are, mid-October, right? Well, there's the 70th anniversary of Unico. And Mike Linko is with us. And well, you're the boss. Aren't you the president, Mike?
Yes, I am, Bob. How are you?
Love it. I'm great. I'm so happy to have you on.
Likewise.
You guys,
pleasure to be here.
You're just it's just such a great organization. And your chapter has done so many great things.
Yes, we have. our chapter started in 1955 under the direction of Dr. DJ Maldonado.
Wow.
Throughout the years,
Dr.
we've raised a lot of money.
Dr. Maldonado was a great guy. Oh, boy.
Yes, he was. And that torch got carried through Pat Yanni, through Al Dante.
No, my
Your
gosh,
friend of mine, Chris
yeah.
DiMatteo.
Yeah.
And it's a great bunch of people. We've raised a lot of money for charity, and we do a lot to promote our Italian heritage, do a lot to help veterans, scholarships, and the like, all while promoting our Italian heritage.
So
Saturday,
you're celebrating the 70th anniversary Saturday. Tell us about it.
Well, we're having a 70th anniversary celebration at Manor on Main. It's going to be from 5 till 10 o'clock. The cost is going to be $70 a person. It's going to include a 2-hour open bar, a nice buffet dinner. We're going to have a singer by the name of Andrea Amoroso. He's an Italian singer from Philadelphia, but I've heard him sing at other events. The guy's got a great voice. He'll serenade us with some nice Italian music. And then we'll be dancing to the music of Picture Perfect at night.
Oh, wow. You pulled out all the stops. How about that?
That held nothing back.
Yeah. Mike Linko, how can somebody get to this event? Obviously, you could show up, but how would they buy tickets for this event or try to get to it or become part of it on Saturday?
Okay, what we're going to do is we'll take reservations at $70 a person. You could pay at the door. What you could do is you could either I'll give you some information. Let Chris DiMatteo know. His number is 570-499-1934, or you could email him at cdimattio@comcast.net, or you can let me know, 570-905-5318. And we'd love to have the public there. We'd like to introduce Unico to the public. Bob, you and your family you're more than welcome to please attend. We'd love to have you come. You've been a staple in this area for years, and I
was a Unican. I was a Unican. I was a member. I love the Unico. I love it.
Well, there's a chance to come back again. We'd love to have you.
Mike, unfortunately, they had no Unico chapter in any of the 11 prisons they put me in. So I couldn't. I just couldn't attend any meetings.
Yeah, Bob, God love you. I mean,
well, Michael,
that aside, we'd love to have you back.
Saturday,
you're doing a lot of good work in the area.
Saturday at 5 o'clock. What's it called? The place you're holding
It's our 70th anniversary celebration.
And where is it at? Something on Main?
Manor on Main.
Manor on Main. Where is that?
That's the old Genetti's on Main Street in Dixon City.
Oh, it's reopened. How about that?
Yes. Oh yeah.
So a great venue also. Oh, that's good
stuff. Great venue. We're going to see what it's like. I've heard a lot of good things about it, so we're going to find out firsthand.
All right. Mike Linko from Unico, their 70th anniversary celebration at the old Genetti's. I'll be describing it that way forever. But the old Genetti's, Saturday, 5 to 10. Man, picture perfect. You've got an Italian singer on top of that. Open bar for a couple hours.
Spare no expense.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you. And call in about this again, please.
I will do so. Thank you, Bob.
All right. Mike Linko,
God bless
you
you,
very
sir.
much. Thank you. He has. Great stuff. The man, Unico. And we've got, I don't know. I don't know which chapter. This is the main chapter. But this, and the longest running one. Nothing wrong with the others either, by the way. They're all great. But, one of the largest in the country. And they keep doing great work. So if you have a chance to celebrate with the Unicans, you'll enjoy it. I promise. That's a lot of good people. We'll take a break on the Bob Cordaro Show. We'll come back. Much, much more to talk about on this Tuesday. Is that the cutest thing ever? This date, 1963, Murph tells us, where does he find this stuff? The Singing Nun released her hit, Dominique. And there it is. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. And, this, there's so much going on. We have a situation in Scranton, which is, it's fascinating. So similar to New York, it's amazing. They're asking Curtis Sliwa to get out of the mayoral race, so that Cuomo, and I mean so similar politically. We got a left-wing lunatic. She happens to be the incumbent. She also happens to be using us as a platform to run for Congress or whatever left-wing political job she could grab, Mayor Cognetti. And there's where the difference is, other than politically. Most observers say, hey, you can't beat the left-wing lunatic without one of the two candidates opposing her getting out. It's fascinating to watch. We'll see what Curtis Sliwa does. I don't think he's inclined to get out. He's got the same problem that Trish Bynum has in Scranton. A very small cadre, maybe a couple thousand voters, will vote Republican. They will, nope, that's it. And so, realistically, she cannot win. This is political observers. And so it's a tough situation. Barrett can win. I don't know how it's going to flesh out here or in New York, but we can't have the left-wing lunatic in office. Well, Ricardo Jewelers tells me it's 9:50. Isn't that funny? This is the Kingsmen. They performed on the show Shindig. They did Louie Louie, whatever you want to call it, and it's actually clearer than the recorded version. But Murph tells us they did this date, 1965. Just a historical song. Hey, next hour, beginning of next hour, we're going to have one of my favorite authors, Matt Birkbeck. I had him on my television show. We also had him on the radio show when he came out with his book about the local mob called The Life We Chose. He had another book called Deconstructing Sammy. And then the one that caught my attention initially, The Quiet Don. And he's done A Deadly Secret, A Beautiful Child, and there's a sequel, Finding Sharon, which is adapted by Netflix for a 2022 film, Girl in the Picture, which he served as the executive producer. He's a really good guy. But he's got a new one out called The Wicked. And it's a departure from what he has been writing. Fascinating. So he'll be on after the news at 10 o'clock. And at 11 o'clock, we've got a discussion of the Italian campaign in World War II by the great Rick Bigelow. So a full cast of characters and action today. I'm very excited about the program. So I've got my Camp Freedom shirt on. If you're watching, all you have to do is go to WILKnewsradio.com. Now, if you're on the computer, it'll say on-air news podcasts, which is where you find all of my previous shows. And the Bulldog uploads them each day by mid-afternoon. And then another section, contests and events, connect, and then watch. You press the watch. Now, there's one of those on a phone. What do they call that? A toolbar? You press the toolbar, and then watch pops up so you can watch the program on the show and see my nice Camp Freedom t-shirt. And you see me scowling and carrying on and whatever else. Tom from Dallas texts in, Zohran Mamdani is taking pictures with Imam Siraj Wahaj, a person with connections to the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. New York is about to vote for a communist Muslim extremist to mayor, yet they want to complain about no kings. It's ridiculous. I'm telling you, these people are insane. And I don't know where, I really don't know where they're coming from. There's a Family Guy thing, and they go, well, we just follow whatever they tell us on our email. It's insane. Hey, Joe from Edwardsville tells me, going back to our history moment this hour, he said, my great uncle was one of the young research assistants at Menlo Park with Edison. I was just a kid when he passed away, but I remember his stories of working in the lab. Wow. He got quite wealthy on his investments with Edison. Well, Joe, I hope he passed some of that down to you, but that's a great legacy. Great family legacy. Tom from Dallas wants to know, where can I get my Trump 2028 sombrero and king crown hats? How about Nancy Pelosi ripping up a plastic or a cardboard crown? These people are such idiots. I don't even, you can't even explain them. And you got a crowd down at Lackawanna County Courthouse Square and others yelling and screaming and getting all lathered up. Do they know how stupid they're being? You're following idiots. What does that make you? You're following lies and spouting them. What does that make you? It's crazy. It's sad. Somebody says, I was downtown recently with an expert in city design. The architect told me Mayor Cognetti bike lanes would not only fail, but would be proven within 6 months of implementation to be a public safety issue for the police, fire, and ambulance, resulting in massive lawsuits to be brought upon the city of Scranton due to its tragic failure. I cannot agree with him more. And it's a $30 million expenditure. But see, she's got to have a left-wing lunatic chit so she could run as a left-wing lunatic and be accepted by all the goofballs. This is what they do. Oh, this latest scam. When she gets us in the middle of a $30 million project when she's actively trying to leave the mayor's office. It's insanity. Absolute insanity. All right, we got to take a break because it's news time. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me so. Thank God I've got it. I absolutely love it. But it's 10:02 and change. And remember, Cordara's, they've got not only the greatest selection in jewelry, but it is the watch store. Raymond Weil, Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, Seiko, Tory Burch, Victorinox, Bulova, and more. We'll be back. great good morning, everyone. My Picardo Jeweler's watch tells me it is 10:08 a.m. here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Tuesday, October 21, year of our Lord 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man John Basiliga and just one of his great companies, Serenity Care Personal Care, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we celebrate today, thanks to John. We lost them, but love them. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for you for the balance of the hour, and that you need it. These people are nuts. They've got zero self-awareness, and you've got to deal with it, unfortunately. Hey, I've had Matt Birkbeck on my television show. You could go to YouTube and check that out. When he wrote the book, The Life We Chose. He's also the author of a book called Deconstructing Sammy, A Beautiful Child, Finding Sharon, the book that brought him to my attention for the first time, The Quiet Don, about our local mafia boss, Russell Buffalino, and A Deadly Secret. Well, he's got a bit of a departure. It's called The Wicked. And it's the story of a star reporter who loses his journalistic edge. And he attends the funeral of a Catholic priest in Jim Thorpe. But when he questions the priest's death, he quickly recovers his investigative skills to learn that this charming Pennsylvania tourist town, once the coal mining capital of the nation, I would have a beef with that. Is that Jim Thorpe has secrets so unimaginable, he finds himself in a deadly struggle for his new love, his life, and his very soul. And here he is, our man, Matt Birkbeck. Matt, welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Bob?
Well, I'm great. Love this book. It is a departure from what you'd been doing.
It is. It's actually, it is and it isn't, in that there was a crime story involved, and we do talk about things like justice.
We sort of lost your sound quality there, Matt.
Which are issues I've touched in my nonfiction book.
Matt.
This is my first fiction book. It's something that I had actually first thought about back in my newspaper days at the Allentown Morning Call when I covered Jim Thorpe. 20 years ago or so. And so it was an idea that was percolating in my head, and it kept percolating. And I always wanted to do fiction, and this is it.
Matt, if you could, go back to however you started the interview. We're having a hard time understanding understanding you. Maybe you went on speaker or something.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah.
There we are. We're back.
Modern technology between the AirPods and my regular phone. So,
okay.
In any event.
Well, so this is a work of fiction. I love the concept. I love the setting. Everything about it. How did you choose to come up with all of this? How did it come to you?
So I was actually explaining before my AirPods went out. That I had worked in Jim Thorpe. I don't know if you heard about that or not. When I was working as a newspaper reporter many years ago, I covered Jim Thorpe, which is a really fascinating town.
Yeah,
it's a great, a lot of people, folks in northeastern PA are probably familiar with it. It's a remarkable tourist town, what they've done with it. But it's also got a really interesting history. The mining, and of course with the Molly Maguires. And what went on in the 1800s, and their prosecutions and their ultimate executions and whatnot. And I just came up. I wasn't thinking for many years. This idea was just percolating in my head.
Yeah.
Writing a book, a story that's based in Jim Thorpe, and I've written 8 nonfiction books, and I never really had a chance to focus on this. My wife is actually the one that kept prodding me to do it. She loved the idea, and I actually started doing it in 2019 and then 2020, but then I got really busy. First with the Billy D'Elia book. I spent 2 years with Billy.
Yeah.
And then with my Netflix film, Girl in the Picture. So that came out in 2022. The Life We Chose came out in 2023. And then I thought I caught a break, and I had some time to finish this. But then I actually agreed to write another book that's coming out in January. It's on sports betting. It's called The Bookie.
Is that
and it's
overdue?
with the former.
That is
Yeah,
timely.
but
Yeah.
it's actually very timely. It's really a great story.
Yeah.
It's Art Manteris was the head of the sports books at Caesar's Palace and the Las Vegas Hilton and Station Casinos, going back to the 1980s. And he just retired a couple of years ago. And he was looking for someone to work with on this book. And my agent asked me if I'd be interested. And initially I had my doubts in terms of, co-writing. I did it once before, and it was fine. The project was fine, but I wasn't really sure I wanted to do that again. I ended up doing it, and that took another 2 years to do. And as I mentioned, that comes out in January. In any event, I was able to finish The Wicked and sneak it out before The Bookie comes out in January. So it was a labor of love. It was a passion project. It's something I'm very proud of. I'm going to be in Wilkes-Barre on Saturday at the Barnes and Nobles at 1 o'clock.
Oh, neat.
Signing books.
What time? What times will you be
at 1
there?
o'clock? 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. I'll be there.
Isn't it great to go to a bookstore?
Yeah, it is. But you know what? I'm still not over the 1,000 people that showed up with Billy. When we did that signing.
Yeah.
That was amazing. So I'm sure I'm not going to get 1,000 people, but I had a book signing there when The Quiet Town came out. We had a nice crowd there. So, hopefully folks will be interested in this work. I'll also be signing The Life We Chose and The Quiet Town. The folks still want to get copies of that.
Now,
so
I'm sure it helped a great deal that not only were you familiar with Jim Thorpe as a Allentown Morning Call reporter, but you're familiar with reporters and investigative journalists and all of that. But it's still very difficult to write a novel. I mean, you are creating everything mostly out of whole cloth.
Yeah, it is. My work in terms of my nonfiction books, I've always done narrative nonfiction. So basically, I'm working with a set of facts. Like whenever I've written a book, I always, and for folks who've read me, you'd probably be able to see this, I try to write it as if it's almost like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
With a really, with an interesting opening, and then, we take you through a story, and then we come up at the end with an ending. But there are facts that you obviously have to work with, and you got to stick with those facts, and then the job is to make it all work. With fiction, as you just said, you're creating everything, and it has to work.
Yeah.
Something that you might write early on, it has to come back into play later on. It has to, there can't be any mistakes. Readers can't get 3/4 of the way into the book and go, wait a minute, that makes no sense. He just said this 3 chapters earlier,
Mm-hmm.
So that was something that I, obviously had to focus on. But I actually really enjoyed it. It was just great just sitting there. I didn't, some fiction writers have storyboards up on walls and they write out their chapters and they do this and they do that. And I don't necessarily do that. It's, basically in my head, I know where I want to go with it from the beginning, middle, and end. I might write down some factoids of my own that I want to get in there. I obviously I did have to do a lot of research, particularly on the history of the region. It has a really rich history. A lot of folks don't know why it's named Jim Thorpe. which I explain in the book.
Which is that's a funny story in and of itself.
Yeah, it is. But the way I was able to kind of work it into this particular story, I thought worked. And then it's actually, it's a homage to Jim Thorpe. The folks there have done, it was in the one thing I really noticed when I was covering that area is that the surrounding region was just so depressed. And we're talking about, the old coal towns. And we're talking about Lansford, all the way out to Tamaqua. And Jim Thorpe just stuck out like a sore thumb. It's just beautiful. It's like it's taken, they took it out of the late 1800s and plopped it right here, and just, it's like you're walking into history. And so I thought it'd be a great setting for a story. It had the history to support it. I came up with some characters, and yes, you have to write what you know.
Yeah.
Obviously. So the lead character is a reporter from Philadelphia, and he's the one we're following. And it's basically his story, and this is a guy that's in need of some redemption, and he finds it in Jim Thorpe.
We're talking with Matt Birkbeck. He's the author of The Wicked, his first novel, work of fiction, and it's set in Jim Thorpe, PA. Saturday, he's going to be at the Barnes & Noble in Wilkes-Barre for a book signing event at 1 o'clock. Matt, I'm telling you, this is a page turner, and when you get into the quirks and the history, you've got to invent some of this, but it can't be completely invented. It has to have some roots in reality, and that had to be a difficult part of the work.
To a certain degree, particularly with the history. For instance, with the Molly Maguires, we do go back in history. There was, without giving too much away about the book, there were some characters in the book. And then when you go back to 1877, for instance, there were 10 executions. 4 of them occurred in Jim Thorpe. 6 of them occurred in, was it Pottstown out there?
Mm-hmm.
I get it confused with the other one near Philly.
Pottsville.
In any event, Pottsville.
Pottstown we have. Which one? You confused me because you asked me.
I know, because I always
we played them
myself,
in football, and I'm forgetting.
Even though I wrote about it. But these were really big events in the 1800s.
Yeah.
I tried to stay true to the history of the region. I tried to stay true to the history of mining, and to really show in detail the difficulties of mining, particularly amongst the Irish immigrants that came over, and what they had to endure. It was brutal. You've got folks coming over and ending up with jobs here, and they go into these coal mines, and there's one way in and one way out.
Yeah.
The heads of the mine companies didn't care if they died or not. They didn't want to go to the expense of building another exit for safety. So they were treated brutally. Everything they made, they had to pay back. For their housing, for their food, for their clothes, for their mining tools. So it's also sort of a history lesson in terms of what was going on, and also kind of explores the reasons why they were so violent, and why they actually fought back, and the injustice that led up to their ultimate demise. At the hands of the mining companies, in particular, the president of one company and one railroad, Franklin Gowen. I was able to get into the history and work that into the book. Ultimately though, it's character driven, and it's a story of redemption, or at least trying to find redemption, and that's all the way around amongst all the characters, even though they're going in different directions. It's ultimately a story about redemption. And then the one thing I was able to do with this book, which was my main goal, was to actually end it on the very last sentence. And the reason for that is that my first two books, A Deadly Secret in 2002, which was on Robert Durst, the
multi-millionaire
to the Manhattan.
murderer. Yeah.
Yes, serial killer who I covered for years, and I wrote about. That was my first book. He hadn't been prosecuted yet, so I didn't have an ending. And then I did A Beautiful Child in 2004, which ended up years later becoming my Netflix movie, and that was a heartbreaking story about a young girl who was kidnapped as a child and didn't know her true identity. And when I ended that book, readers were just completely frustrated. I used to get hate mail from readers. I mean, they loved the book, but they hated me for not finding out who she was. And so I spent, years, these were two projects. As a reporter, you generally continue to work on a story until the story is done, and then you move on. In this case, I stayed with both the Durst story and the Beautiful Child story. And with the help of the FBI and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, we were able to find her true identity in 2014, which led to my next book, Finding Sharon, which wrapped it all up. But I didn't have an ending, and I know it's frustrating for readers when they invest so much time and effort to read a book, and they wanted a real satisfying ending. And that was my goal with The Wicked.
You provided that. Matt Birkbeck Matt Birkbeck is our guest. He's the author of The Wicked, his first nonfiction or first fiction novel. Just a great read set in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, about a reporter and about the history of that area and that town, Mao Chunk. And Saturday, he'll be at the Barnes & Noble in Wilkes-Barre for book signing and discussion of the book. Somebody texted in, Matt, not sure if you're aware of this. They said not many people know, but there's a large underground stream that runs through a tunnel through the middle of Jim Thorpe. It runs under West Broadway and the Lehigh Coal and Navigation Building and discharges into the Lehigh River. I had to walk it from bottom to top as part of my job. We found many side tunnels and a glass floor looking down into the stream from one of the buildings. We could also hear people talking on the street above through the storm drains. Quite eerie.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, so Jim Thorpe has its secrets, even from you. It's fascinating and great place to set a novel. It really is.
Just the sites, the different, you got the prison there, you got the hotel, of course you got on the other side of town across the river, you got that great church there, which is where the story starts with a murder. Mm-hmm. And so, there are many great sites in Jim Thorpe. Of course, there's the Molly Maguire's restaurant and tavern.
Now, Matt, is there more you could, capsulize the book for us? It is about a journalist who sort of lost his fastball through fame and fortune, and he comes and gets involved in this mystery in Jim Thorpe, PA. Tell us just a little bit more about that. Flesh it out just a bit.
So, just getting back to what we talked about earlier. I kind of wrote what I know, and that is I've covered, I do a lot of investigative reporting, but I also cover a lot of crime stories. And so the book starts with a murder of a Catholic priest in Jim Thorpe who's found hanging above the altar. And everyone believes he committed suicide. And a family friend who happens to be a famous newspaper reporter, journalist from Philadelphia, comes to attend his funeral. Now, he's kind of lost himself. He was, at one point in time, a great journalist who wrote some really deep, insightful pieces, and now basically writes schlock, just, has a big contract, makes a lot of money, just, continues to live this high-end lifestyle. He kind of lost his way as a journalist and in life. But he comes to Jim Thorpe to attend his funeral. He starts meeting these interesting people, and he starts questioning the priest, who's also a family friend, his murder. And the more he digs in, the more he finds. And the more he digs in, it alerts other people within Jim Thorpe as to what he's doing, and that's how the story continues on. So, it's like I said, it's a murder mystery. It's historical in terms of digging into Jim Thorpe, and then of course, it's also a story. It's a story of injustice too, in terms of what happened to folks there years earlier. Particularly when I never knew this, but Jim Thorpe was the mining capital of the country back in the 1800s. I mean, that's how much coal was going through there to Philadelphia. And then it hit some really depressed times. And then of course they made that name change in the early 1950s, and then from there, it took time, but from there, it took years, but it progressed to being this beautiful town. So.
A lot of people writing into me asking, how do you spell Matt's name? It's BIRK BIRK Birkbeck. Okay, so you guys know to find the book. It's The Wicked by Matt Birkbeck. That is one of the great things. I love your writing style, but I love how you approach all of your subjects, that it's got a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you're looking at it with the hope that people are seeing basically a 2-hour movie. And I really love how that comes across. It was a page turner. You didn't want to put it down. I think people are going to enjoy, if they have the opportunity to come see you at Barnes & Noble in Wilkes-Barre Saturday, 1 o'clock. Matt Birkbeck will be there to sign books and talk about the book and all of that stuff. We thank you for coming on, Matt. Always a pleasure. Look forward to your next novel. And maybe we'll have to have you call in one more time for at least a couple of minutes to remind people about this stop at the Barnes & Noble.
We could do that, and we'll also get you a copy of The Bookie, which comes out in January.
I'm because I've finished this book so quickly, I can't wait for the next one. So I'm excited to hear there's one coming out soon. That's great.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All right, Matt Birkbeck, The Wicked. He'll be at Barnes & Noble Saturday, 1 o'clock in Wilkes-Barre. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. our veterans salute this hour and every hour. This day and every day brought to you by John Basiliga and his great family of companies, including Serenity Care. Senior care in 4 locations: Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. Dementia care units at Mid-Valley and Kingston locations. All 4 have been completely renovated inside and out. John has a passion for providing the highest quality senior care in the area and the beautiful personal care homes for seniors to live in. The gold standard, Serenity Care. John Snell. We lost him October 11th. He was from Einan. His widow is Florence Pryal Snell. They would have been married 59 years this November. John Snell was born in Peckville, graduate of Archbald High School. He attended the University of Scranton. He served us in the United States Army from 1961 to 1963, stationed in Germany during the Cold War. A lifelong resident of Einan, he was a member of Christ the King Parish there. Amazingly, he was the first Eagle Scout from Einan. I put that on the accomplishment Eagle Scout, one of the best. Prior to retirement, he was employed for 33 years at Thompson, RCA in Dunmore. He loved woodworking, hunting, fishing, skiing. He was pa to his grandchildren. In addition to his wife also surviving, are a son, a daughter, grandchildren. Tragically, John Snell was preceded in death by a granddaughter, Rebecca Snell. Many other family members survive him. John Snell, Einan. Barry Schreffler. He was from Shepton. We lost him at age 85, October 10th. Born in Bloomsburg, he married the love of his life, Thelma Davidson Schreffler, in 1970. They had 52 wonderful years together. Thelma preceded him in death, but together they built a beautiful life centered on faith, family, and love. He's survived by his 2 children, a son and a daughter, and he had 4 beloved grandchildren. Barry Schreffler was a graduate of the former Nuremberg High School, lifelong member of Mount Zion Lutheran Church, where he served on the church council. He served us in this man's army in the 82nd Airborne Division. Deserves more than a footnote. He retired from PPL in 2000 after working there for 35 years as a lineman. Those who knew Barry will remember him for the deep love he held for his family and friends. He'd go out of his way to help anyone. Barry Schreffler, our great veterans this hour, brought to you by Serenity Care and John Basiliga. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny and milder with increasing clouds, scattered showers possible late in the day, 67 degrees. Tonight, cloudy skies, 48. Wednesday, cloudy, breezy, cooler, chance of a spotty shower, 57. Thursday, cloudy, breezy, cooler, with a chance of a spotty shower, 55 degrees. And that's our deal. Hey, our guy is here, Tyler Cornell, and I observed on my way in what a crazy jam it was going 81 north.
Yeah, and it's only gotten worse here. There's actually a couple things going on 81, but the one you're talking about, that one is right now bumper to bumper, 81 north for manual patching and brushing between exits 180 Music and 182 Montage Mountain, but the backlog is already reaching 175 Pittston. And the estimated time of completion for that isn't until 4 p.m. today. So that'll be going
It's
on.
almost like they picked these times
I know.
to make it worse.
I know. Yep. Started. That's what we were told. It was 8 a.m. to about 4 p.m. So that's going to be going on. And then I actually saw 81 southbound. There's road work between exits 165 Mountaintop Wilkes-Barre, or starting at 165 Mountaintop Wilkes-Barre. But the backlog is reaching towards 168 Highland Park Boulevard. But that's going to finish it up at about like 12:30.
Right.
So there's that. But yeah, that northbound one, again, they're doing manual patching and brushing work. I believe that's just for today. That's not a whole week thing going on. And it's between 180 Music and 182 Mountain.
But backed all the
Montage
way
Mountain.
up to Pittston.
Yeah, backed all the way up to Pittston.
Give me the 81 South problem again.
81. Okay, so 81 South, it's at exit 165 Mountaintop Wilkes-Barre, but the backlog is reaching 168 Highland Park Boulevard, and the estimated time of completion is 12:30.
So it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yes, probably. That's how I just always throw that out there, because it's never going to, until probably 12:40, it's like, and then it'll look okay. But
All right.
So, sorry, guys. Yeah, just try to look for any alternate routes, especially with that northbound one. I would probably think that the Turnpike would be your best bet there. Even 315 is backed up out here because everyone's trying to get around it. So, just take your time.
We deal in truth, fact, and reality on this show. We don't kill the messenger.
No. Deal with the reality that's pretty bad out there. So, good luck.
Tyler Cornell from our traffic center. Let us take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We got some calls to get to. Well, let me get to one because it's on road conditions. So let's try to sneak this one in. It's John from Lake Ariel. How are you, John?
Good, Bob. How are you today?
Great.
Bob, I have a complaint. Have you been up on 435 lately?
Oh, let me think. Not that I could recall.
Okay. You know where Chico's Curve is?
No.
Oh, it's right there. They used to have a watering hole, a spring. Well, anyway, you come up that road.
Going towards Elmhurst, is that 435?
Yes.
Okay, yes. All right. Got it.
Okay, as you go up that hill, you look along the side of the road. All that road work was done by the WPA.
Oh, the walls.
And we are
I
letting
am happy
it fall.
you brought that up, John. It is bothersome. Who's going to repair that?
We should get prisoners out of the prison and send them up there to repair it. That is history. That is WPA. We can't let that go, Bob.
I've been noticing it. I'm bad on route numbers, but I go up there that way often to go to Marjan or Elmhurst Country Club or up to my veterinarian. So, I noticed the wall deteriorating, falling apart, and it's a gorgeous wall, but parts of it are really decimated. Yeah.
It wouldn't take that much if we got masons in there to fix it.
Yep. I wonder if they could find the matching stone. Although most of it is down, most of it has fallen down right there.
Yeah, yep. It's a shame. It is a shame. It is so It was so beautiful, and now it's just we're losing it.
I don't even know who you talked to there because it's a state road, but that was a federal project. I wonder if the state ever accepted it.
That I don't know.
Yeah.
But couldn't we get our prisoners out, put them to work?
Well, it depends.
Yeah, right.
I mean, John, when I was in prison, if you sent me out to try to fix a wall, you might as well send a dog out to try and do it,
Well, that I understand, Bob.
But no, they have skilled people. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. Well, that was my complaint, Bob, and I wanted to, bring it up to you. Thank you.
I'm happy you brought that out. It deserves to be aired. Those were gorgeous walls, and they deserve to be repaired. So thank you,
Bob. I might lose you now, so have a great day.
All right, you too, John. Thank you. All right, we got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We've got some calls I want to get to, and we'll do so after we hear from our great sponsors, Bloomberg Money Minute, and more on the Bob Cordaro Show. Chuck Berry. I mean, all the great music he had. This was his first #1 hit, Murph says. This date, 1972. My Ding-a-Ling. And, of course, 1971, one home run, William H. Rehnquist, appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court, and one, Lewis Powell, nominated this date, 1971. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK. Let's go right to the blower. We got Mike from Bloomsburg. Mike, how are you?
Got a statement to make here. Okay, I believe that the #1 issue facing voters this November in Pennsylvania is the retention or not of the judges. Okay, and I think that's where a lot of power lies. And I think Democrats are really concerned because people are kind of on edge and they're fed up. And I think it's easier to vote no than yes. So I think even some Democrats might even vote no. And I think there's maybe some possibly little funny things going on with mail-in ballots. My mail-in ballot was allegedly mailed 11 days ago. And I called to find out where it was. And the county said, it's not in our hands anymore. It's with the post office. Okay. You know, basically they don't want anything to do with it. Yeah. So what I'm wondering, Bob, do these counties send out the ballots based on alphabetical order, birthday order, or Democrat? You know, maybe they send out boxes of Democrat ballots.
It's supposed to be sent. It's supposed to be sent upon receipt, based on when the request was received.
Right. But a lot of people have it set up so that they get it, like myself, I'm supposed to get a mail-in ballot every election, right?
Okay.
And so what I'm wondering is, to me, and now here's where I'm going to go off the rails for you, Bob. I think Democrats are generally like wolves. When they have their prey surrounded, they know what to do without really discussing it. They just know how to act.
Amen.
And wouldn't it be surprising if
and let's be more specific. Democrat operatives and the left. And the left. They know.
The Democrat left.
Yep.
Yes. That's right. Because let's face it, all these NGOs, all the people that work for government, all the people that live off of government,
yep,
they do better when there's liberal judges in office.
Yep.
And that's what I think.
And these are the three fools. While I have you, I want to mention to the audience the three Supreme Court idiots, Democrat hacks, left-wing lunatics, Wecht, Donahue, and Doherty. We call it Doherty around here, but Doherty.
Right.
Johnny Dock, the electrical union political kingpin from Philly. That's his brother. Yeah.
Yeah, what statewide judges aren't from Philadelphia or Pittsburgh?
Exactly. That's why they
hope
suck
people wise
so
up
bad.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty despondent right now about the course of things. It's beyond my comprehension of the lunacy on the left right now, and really, I think this is the last chance. If Trump doesn't get things straightened out now, and Democrats do everything they can do to take over the House and the Senate in the midterms, I think we can just write America off.
Well, it's always in the balance, but the last 4 years were so deleterious to this democracy, they want to use that word, to this republic, I'll use the right word, and so much damage was done that we need a lot of years to recover. And mail-in ballots are another one of their methods to not have that happen. I was saying today, I just left a bill. I put it in my mailbox. My mailman's going to pick it up and take it. Why do I need a drop box? please tell me why I need a drop box. So, I mean, that even takes it another level to that where cheating and fraud could occur. There's no reason for it. There's more mailboxes than drop boxes, number one. Number two, I could give it to my mailman.
They do a very good job of taking advantage of every little angle. You know, the pandemic was just a playground for the left.
Yes.
It really was.
And we can't even restore the federal government to pre-pandemic spending levels, even though the country is the federal government spending orgy is putting us in the drink. In the drink. In Pennsylvania, we've got Governor Shapiro, who presented a deficit budget and won't come off of it to make it balanced when he has to by law. It's insanity.
No. And their strategy is to start causing pain to innocent people, innocent schools, innocent people that need health care.
I've had friends of mine on Snap. I've had friends of mine on Snap who are probably going to get cut off November 1st if these clowns in Harrisburg and Washington don't come to their senses. These Democrat clowns.
If they'll do that to the poorest of the poor, what will they do to anyone else?
Well, the poor people are only there to be used by the Democrats. That's what they use them for. Hey, we got to go, Michael. They're using them, and some of them are still falling for it. Amazing.
Have a good one.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it always. My Bacardo Jewelers watch tells me we're way past. It's 11:02:33. We'll do the news. We'll come back. We got Rick Bigelow on the Italy campaign and much more in the next hour. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Oh, the war goes on, baby. Great good morning. It's 11:11 and change on my Cordaro Jewelers watch here in the great Northeast this beautiful Tuesday, October 21, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. It's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and just one of his great companies, Serenity Care, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we salute today and sadly lost this year. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our commitment to common sense, our commitment to history, our commitment to truth, fact, and reality will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you. And speaking of, you hear the Mondami and the Muslim thing. And I don't want to call it the Muslim thing. It's the Islamist thing. Please be aware of this. There is not a good ending. There is not a good ending. They're finding it out in Michigan. They're finding out in New Jersey. And now we may have to find it out in New York City. And all the left wings, the LGBTQers, that's a question that's not being asked of Mamdani. Are you a Muslim? Are you a practicing Muslim? Well, then all of your left wing about LGBTQ, etc., is a lie. But the woke New York media will not ask that simple question. Scary times. We go back to something great, and we'll follow it up with something great. Mother Teresa, St. Teresa, for October 21st. She said, if you love, you cannot fail. The success of love is in the loving. It is not in the result of loving. Of course, it is natural in love to want the best for the other person. But whether it turns out that way or does not doesn't determine the value of what we have done. We have loved, and that is a beautiful thing. Because when we love, we allow God to shine through us. St. Teresa for October 21st. Blessed, poignant, and amazing all at once. Thank you, Mary Regina. Well, our man, Rick Bigelow, he's a patent attorney extraordinaire, and he's a veteran. His father was a veteran who we paid tribute to on this program a couple of years ago, and he is our historian. And one of the important parts of World War II, the Italian campaign. And here he is, our man, Rick Bigelow. Rick, welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show.
Glad to be with you, Bob.
Oh, always a great pleasure. I actually get excited when you're coming on. I do. All right, tell us. Let's get right to it. We've got to conquer Italy. We've taken Africa, and now we've got to make a move here.
Yeah, you're right. We took North Africa. We took Sicily in about 38 days, and now we invaded the mainland of Italy. So we had the invasion at Salerno, and that didn't turn out to be quite as easy as we thought it was going to be. We thought we were going to surprise them, but it turns out that the Germans knew we were coming, and they even had loudspeakers set up that said, "Welcome, Americans, surrender." So because we thought we could do it in secret, we didn't have pre-invasion naval bombardment. So that would have helped if we had that. And because the Italians had announced that they had arranged an armistice with the United States the night before the landing, the Germans went in and took over all the coastal batteries from the Italians. So a bunch of bad things happened at Salerno. It took about 10 days or so for us to establish a beachhead at Salerno. And once we did that, we were going to head north to Naples, because we needed to take Naples because there was a large port facility there, and we knew we were going to need to bring in more equipment and material and troops to sustain the invasion up the Italian peninsula. So it's probably important to figure out what the goals for invading Italy in 1943 were. We wanted to capture the airfields at Foggia, which was on the other side of the Italian peninsula, to reduce the distance to Hitler's major source of oil, which was in Palesti at Romania, and also reduce the distance to the German aircraft manufacturing plants in southern Germany and Austria. We also wanted to tie up large numbers of German troops in Italy who otherwise would be sent to Normandy or the Balkans or to the Eastern Front to counter the Russians. We also wanted to get the Italian armed forces out of the war. And finally, we wanted to capture Rome, which would have been the first time any of the Axis capitals were going to be captured. So within a couple weeks, we had done all those things except for capturing Rome. So the Germans planned to defend Italy. And
Rick, let me ask the question. We touched on it in previous programs. You've got the factor of the Alps. Was it maybe because the German troops were there and had sort of taken over that we decided we have to go here? It doesn't seem the ideal way to go to get to Germany eventually.
No, I think you're right. And I think a lot of it has to do with Churchill's domineering performance at the Casablanca conference about going up through Sicily or Greece and what he called the soft underbelly of the Axis. And, the problem is that if you go up through Italy or Greece, sooner or later the soft underbelly of the Axis meets the Alps, which are perfect defensive positions.
That's a strong underbelly.
Yeah. And Churchill wanted to be vindicated because he thought that was the thing to do in World War I. And, of course, at Gallipoli and subsequent operations in World War I, that turned out to be a pretty tough slog. And so he was kind of demoted from being the first Sea Lord in World War I and became like a town marshal or something like that. And by the time World War II came back around, he was first Sea Lord and then the prime minister. So I think he really wanted to go up through Italy or the Balkans. On the other hand, at the Casablanca conference, the Americans wanted to go straight to France. And I'm thinking, I keep looking at it, and there was significant carnage in Italy, and the Italian citizens suffered tremendously, and Italian troops suffered, and we lost a lot of men in Italy. A lot of men were killed and wounded, and the Brits and the Commonwealth troops lost a lot. And I think the troops knew they were never going to Germany. Up through the Alps. If you look at when our troops landed on D-Day, they knew they were going to Berlin. Everybody who was fighting in the Pacific was vectored towards Tokyo. I think people looked at it and said, how are we going to get to Germany through the Alps? So I think maybe we should have gone
blame it on
straight to
Churchill,
France.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, because really, do you think, and think of it just strategically, and he made many major blunders. MacArthur wouldn't have done this. He would have gone around their defenses, not at them.
and we actually did that once by going to Anzio instead of fighting up the western coast of Italy. We had one landing to go around some of the German troops, and I think MacArthur probably would have gone further. And of course, you only go as far as your fighter cover can help out. But I think that's what MacArthur did in New Guinea, and it's what he did in the Philippines, to his credit.
Yeah.
And I think that wound up with far fewer casualties in those operations than we suffered in Italy. Italy, it was just a tough slog. You could really only go along the coasts on the eastern west coast because, I mean, you look at the map of Italy, and it's mountainous. It is very mountainous. And not only is it mountainous, but it's hot and dry in the summer. In October, about this time of year, every year the rains come, and then it snows. And then you're bogged down for 3 or 4 months in the wintertime. Then you start up again, which is one of the reasons why the campaign in Italy lasted almost 2 years. So it was just really tough.
Barbaric. Hey, Rick Bigelow, we've got to take a break. We're going to do so, and then we're going to come back and continue. It's the Italian campaign, World War II, with Rick Bigelow. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Bulldog, is this the Temptations? I'm waiting for the song to get going. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in the old days, the disc jockey would be playing this music, and they used to play it on what are called carts. They look like big 8-track cassettes. And on the thing would be a piece of tape, and typed on it would say, open 48 seconds. So, like, if the DJ had something to say or a message to get across, they would do it before they started singing. But I don't think we have time. We got to get to Bigelow. This is the Temptations. They're moving up the charts this date, 1972, Murph tells us, with their hit, Papa Was a Rolling Stone. And, of course, before that, my beloved Red Sox, certainly beloved at the time, Carlton Fisk hit that incredible home run in 1975 this date. In the 12th inning, the Red Sox won 7-6, brought it to Game 7 against the then unbeatable Cincinnati Reds. A great moment in sports history, and a local guy, or a guy with local ties, married into the Barnes family. He is the guy who got that camera angle with Fisk waving the ball to stay fair. That iconic scene. A guy by the name of Kennedy. And it was sports history, and you got to remember, there was no technology. It was they could barely do slow-mo instant replays and all that. Amazing. Anyway, that's the story of Carlton Fisk back in that 1975. All right, back with Rick Bigelow. So, Rick, it starts. And if by the way, those of you listening, if you have an opportunity, you can go to WILKNewsRadio.com and press watch, and you will see the maps to give you a much better picture of what Rick is talking about. But continue, Rick.
Okay, so we come to November, December of 1943, and the Germans have established a series of defensive lines going across the Italian peninsula. The one that was really well positioned and well fortified was known as the Gustav Line, which kind of went from Ortuna on the Adriatic down past Monte Cassino to the Tyrrhenian Sea on the west coast of Italy. So we had 4 major assaults to take Monte Cassino, and we finally had to go in and bomb the abbey at Monte Cassino because we thought the Germans were using that as an observation point. And from that observation point, they could control the main road into Rome. So we had to take that, and at the same time we landed at Anzio, and we were supposed to meet up. From Anzio, they were going to go to the east. From the Gustav Line, we were going to go to the west. We were going to meet up and go to Rome. It took 4 months to conquer Monte Cassino, and there was tremendous loss of life and tremendous casualties on both sides. We finally met up with the troops coming from Anzio, and of course Anzio, we landed at Anzio, and there was virtually no opposition, but very quickly Kesselring sent a couple of Panzer divisions, and we wound up with about a month-long or 2-month-long stalemate, and by the time they finally broke out, we had taken Monte Cassino, and we could go up to Rome. So we started attacking Cassino in the November-December of 1943 time frame. We didn't break through there until 1944. So General Clark, Lieutenant General Clark, who's in charge of the U.S. Fifth Army, gets into Rome on the 5th of June of 1944. And so, I mean, this is the first time an Axis capital was taken, so it was a big deal for about a day.
But it was sort of a big deal around that same time, wasn't it? Somewhere else.
The next day,
wow.
That's when D-Day happened, and that just sucked up all the. So we get to Rome. we start heading up
Had
the
they
Italian
withdrawn?
Peninsula.
Had the Nazis withdrawn?
Yeah, they would fight along their fronts, and they were running out of troops or running out of supplies too, and then they'd withdraw, and then they'd go to their next line, and we'd fight, and then they withdraw again. The Nazis actually withdrew from Rome before we got there. So, to his credit, Kesselring said that Rome is an open city, so we didn't have to bomb it. Although we had.
Isn't it interesting? I mean, Rome was largely preserved in the midst of this savagery.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Florence as well. Firenze.
Yeah. A couple of the, Salerno was bombed and Anzio was bombed, and several of the smaller towns. The town of Cassino, which is at the base of Monte Cassino, was actually totally 100% destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a building left standing in Monte Cassino. It was a fairly sizable town, had a population of 30,000, 40,000 or something like that. But it was on the route to Rome, and it had to be taken. Some parts of Italy did not suffer at all. Other parts were totally devastated. And of course, Italy was still largely agricultural at this point in time, but so many men had been taken into the armed forces that they couldn't sustain themselves with food. So the many Italian communities, including the major cities, were slowly starving. But they couldn't wait to get rid of the Nazis. That was for sure. So
all right, Rick Bigelow, we've got to take a break because we've got to do a veterans tribute here from our sponsors. Please hang with us. And we'll continue on this, the Italian campaign, World War II. Rick Bigelow. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our friend John Basiliga. And today we feature one of his great companies, Serenity Care, a personal care community with 4 locations in Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. Dementia care units in Mid-Valley and Kingston locations. Completely renovated inside and out. Accepting new residents, they are the gold standard of senior care in Northeast Pennsylvania, Serenity Care. Edward Joseph Farrell, born 1934. We lost him September 30th this year. He was born in Wilkes-Barre. His parents, Ed and Emma Benish Farrell. Ed is survived by his wife of 69 years, Diana Inamorati. 5 children, 15 grandchildren, 6 great-grandchildren. He served us in the U.S. Navy aboard the USS Pittsburgh during the Korean War. After that conflict, he supported his family as a teamster, driving truck for Fulmer Trucking and North Penn Transfer. Oh, what a legacy. On the phone with us is his son, Ed Farrell Jr. Ed, thank you so much for bringing Dad to my attention. Tell us a little bit about him.
Oh, thanks a lot, Bob. I just say he was a hard-working, devoted to his family, his wife, his kids. I never remember my dad not working. I mean, he was a Teamster. He really adored the Teamster Union. Jimmy Hoffa was his idol.
What fascinating times this man lived through. Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, he really was. But I got to tell you a quick story about him. As much as he was believed in the right way, conservatism and all, well, Jimmy Carter, you probably remember, came to Pittston to the high school. And he was a registered Democrat at the time, him and my mom. And he got selected. Well, my mom wrote some questions for him to ask him. Would you know it? He got selected on TV. I mean, but me and my buddies were roaring when we saw it. I'm like, oh, my God, there's my father up there with Jimmy Carter.
That's hilarious.
It was something, boy.
Oh, boy, boy. I always say about these veterans, Ed, like your dad, Edward Farrell, they saw things that we've only viewed in movies.
That's right, Bob. I talked to him a couple of times about being on the Pittsburgh, but I said, did you get off the ship much? Did you see much? He said a little bit. He goes, but we made $16 a week as seamen. He goes, some of the officers, they would make $60. They used to go off board. He goes, but the actual seaman didn't have the money to spend. He sent a lot of money back to his mom and his family when he was. That's why he went in. They were poor family.
Ed, did your father ever ask or tell you why he selected the Navy?
No, he didn't, Bob. That question never came up.
Yeah.
But he was a proud naval man. He was proud of it. I know that.
Oh, great. Oh, great. So he drove truck. Did you ever be able to get in the truck with him?
Yeah, actually, Bob, he would bring sometimes by the house. And I remember being 13, 14 years old. I would get in and learn those controls, the air brake valves and all that stuff. He would let me mess around with it, But he had to end his career. He had a very bad accident out Route 118 in an ice storm coming back from Williamsport. The truck actually rolled over a tractor trailer, and his arm drug on the roadway down the road. He lost part of his hand. And that was the end of his driving career.
What year was that, roughly?
Boy, it was roughly 1987. Yeah, 6 or 7. But,
wow.
He missed. He loved driving truck. He was, he was a bragging truck driver. He
Yeah.
loved going to, but yeah, he drove for Fulmer's, a local company here. They were in Wilkes-Barre, and they were bought out by North Penn.
Okay.
And they eventually went under. But yeah, he liked doing it. I know that.
Ed Farrell Jr. is our guest. We're talking about his dad, Edward Joseph Farrell, who served us in the United States Navy in Korea on the USS Pittsburgh. Were there any stories, or did he even talk about his time on the USS Pittsburgh?
Yeah, a little bit. Bob, I get motion sickness bad. A lot of my family does. And I asked him, I said, how the heck did you stay on that boat? He says, oh, you get used to it after 2 weeks. I'm thinking 2 weeks, I'd be ready to jump over.
2 weeks of hell. 2 weeks of
yeah,
hell.
he said after 2 weeks, you get used to it. I'm thinking, oh, my God. And it's funny, Bob, I just talked to a kid who's in the Navy right now. And he told me them smaller boats, he said, they really pitch and turn. He said, and a lot of the crew will get sick. He said, even the mess hall they'll just serve bread for them guys, just to have something in their stomachs because they actually get, to this day, they do,
Ed, did your father talk about the transition from wartime on a warship to coming back home, difficulties or other issues when he came back home after the Korean War?
No, he didn't. And I never realized he did serve during the actual war, the Korean War.
Yeah.
But no, he did. He did. And I guess they saw a little bit of action with the boat, but
never
talked much about it.
Never complain, never explain, right?
No, absolutely not. He never complained about it. He was stationed in Norfolk. They came back into Norfolk. I was actually born down there,
Wow.
Portsmouth Naval Hospital.
How about that?
But yeah, he really he enjoyed that. He was very proud of it, and glad so. And he deserves it. He was a good military person.
69 years married to his wife Deanna. 5 children, 15 grandchildren, 6 great-grandchildren. An amazing legacy for Edward Farrell, Korean War veteran, Navy man. Ed, I thank you so much for bringing his information to my attention and for joining us to talk about him. What a treat.
Thank you very much. Me and my family deeply appreciate you speaking about him.
Hey,
thanks again.
Not as much as I do, Ed. Thank you.
Thanks again, Bob.
All right. God bless the whole family. Yep. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll come back on the other side with our man Rick Bigelow talking about the Italian campaign after this. Jerry Rafferty. This date, 1978, Murph says he had the #1 easy listenings charts hit with Right Down the Line. Not a bad song, huh? Yeah. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK. Rick Bigelow is our guest. He is not just an outstanding patent attorney, a veteran, a nuclear scientist, you name it. He is our House historian and speaks all over the place on these subjects, and we're lucky to have him again today talking about the Italian campaign. Fire away, my friend. Let's continue.
Sure. After taking Rome in June of 1944, they slowly started moving further up the Italian peninsula. And, of course, we thought when we landed at Salerno that the Germans were just going to withdraw way up north and it would be a fairly easy campaign. Well, that didn't happen at all. So after Rome, we had 8 more months of slogging up both sides of the Italian peninsula. And finally, in late April of 1945, the Germans were running out of troops, they're running out of equipment and ammunition and so on and so forth. So they started to talk about surrendering, and they finally surrendered in late April, and it became effective on May 2nd, 1945, which was just a few days after Hitler committed suicide. And Germany surrendered formally on May 7th, 1945, and World War II in Europe was over. And I think it's worth saying the campaign in Italy was brutal. By the end of the campaign, there are 1 million Allied troops in Italy and only about 500,000 Germans. The Allies suffered 360,000 casualties, including 65,000 killed in action. And Germans suffered 475,000 casualties, 100,000 killed in action. The bad part about it is 150,000 Italian civilians died, and another 35,000 anti-Nazi and anti-fascist partisans died in Italy, and 75,000 Italian soldiers were also killed. So it was just a disaster for Italy. The only really good thing is some of the cities were bypassed and weren't bombed into oblivion, and eventually the Abbey at Monte Cassino was rebuilt, and it looks almost exactly like it did before the invasion happened. So,
what was in the final analysis, Rick Bigelow? What was won? I mean, obviously the country, but I mean, it would have collapsed with the fall of Germany anyway.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that the historians seem to agree on is we tied up a lot of German troops in Italy that would have otherwise gone to Normandy and even to the Eastern Front. And there was one other invasion in France, which was at the bottom part of France around Marseille. It was Operation Dragoon that we went into, and I think it was I forget exactly when it was in 1944. And so they could have gone there too. So we tied up a lot of German troops.
Okay.
And but it was quite a price to pay for it.
That's the nature of war. It's not something that could be. I mean, death, destruction, mayhem, all of that is part of a massive war like World War II and any campaign like this to conquer a country.
Right.
Just my curiosity, what was won strategically. But that beautiful country, and I've had the fortune of being there a couple of times, a couple of decades ago, and I just said, wow, it's gorgeous. I mean, they had to, I was saying this, they had to have been starving to death to leave that country. It is so beautiful.
Yeah. Same with Sicily. And so many Sicilians and Italians either went to Northern Europe or went to South America or went to the United States.
Yeah. Remarkable. Well, the Italian campaign, it was brutal, it was bloody. Many veterans from this area were there. Both some who were injured, some who were killed, some were who survived it all. But it was, man, one for the books for sure.
Absolutely.
Rick Bigelow, always a pleasure. Thank you, my friend. Good way to finish.
Glad to do it, Bob.
Good way to finish the show. All right. Our man, Rick Bigelow. We're finishing with Lips of an Angel. Murph wanted a special attention to this song. I remember it. It's by Hinder. This date, 2006. It was number 3. And how cute. How neat. Well, guys, the shutdown continues. I didn't even get to my 5 to follow today. It's really remarkable how how much happens. One thing I wanted to talk about that we'll maybe talk about tomorrow, Trump with what looks like a great, he oversells his deals all the time, but a great rare earth deal with Australia. We did comment on the No Kings protest. Again, second day in a row, I didn't get to the theft at the Louvre. We've got to talk about that tomorrow. We did talk about the idiot Democrats and the government shutdown and the effect it's having on real people. The Israeli ceasefire, we didn't really get to that today. President and Vice President Vance in Israel with Jared Kushner. And they're following up, trying to keep it in line, in place. In the scheme of things, I think they're making a much bigger deal out of the Hamas part of this. The thing that's going to be significant is that the Arab countries have been marshaled by Donald Trump and our State Department and Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to essentially ally and make full peace with Israel. That's the story. Amazing. Amazing feat. Cannot be taken away. And we did touch on the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania deciding against the boy king, Billy Gaughan, Lackawanna County Commissioner. But, hey, there's only so much time in a morning, right? Loved hearing from Matt Birkbeck today. His book, Wicked. Saturday, he will be at the Barnes & Noble's Wilkes-Barre. Well, if I went to Picardo's on Spruce Street and Jefferson's Avenue, Scranton, caddy corner from the Radisson, I'd find watches galore, Raymond Weil, Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, Seiko, Tory Burch, Victorinox, Bulova, and more. And my Picardo Jewelers watch would say, hey, Bob, it's noon. You gotta go. Yeah, I do. Sue Henry show next. Rob O'Donnell show after that. Guys, have a great afternoon. God willing, I'll be with you tomorrow. But for now, we've got to gavel to close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Adjourned.